Taking off the gloves, I've had enough, it's in my blood. I was born for this.
Hey guys, welcome to the show. Exciting one here for you. We're talking the top 5 wide receivers for 2021, the super early discussion. The reason I'm doing this, well, there's a couple reasons. Number one, I love talking about fantasy football and you guys like listening about it. And you can engage, by the way, in the comments below. So make sure you guys engage in this. Another reason I'm doing it is I'm laying the foundation for you guys so you have a good understanding of who the top 5 wide receivers could be for fantasy football 2021. And understand, guys, the guys that finished on top last year aren't going to finish on top this year. It changes. So this is not copy and paste. So we want to deep dive into the analytics, the stats, and lay it out for you guys so you have a good understanding and say, okay, well, that guy finished on top, but maybe Tyreek Hill this year won't finish on top. Counselor, can you explain, is he going to finish on top again? Should I draft him early? We saw the mistake last year with Michael Thomas. People drafted him in the first round. I don't want you guys to make a mistake again. So we're going to deep dive into the top 5 wide receivers. And is it worth drafting in those early rounds? Again, it's never too early for fantasy football. Even though it's offseason now, it's good that we're laying the foundation this early. Okay, so we're going to dive in, open discussion here. And again, you guys can interact here in the comments. And please leave a thumbs up. It helps the channel. Before we get into this, guys, head on over to manscaped.com. Get the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. Phenomenal product, fit and finish, strong, durable. You can shave around your sensitive areas and not worry about getting cut or nicked. Love the product. I mean, I don't even remember the last time I charged this thing. It just goes forever. I mean, you could always charge it anyway if it's running low. But listen, manscaped.com, they got ball wipes. They got other great products, including the Weed Whacker, which is a nose hair trimmer. And you can save 20% on your purchase. Use promo code SHOWERLION, okay? Just like a shower, and the lion in the shower, get it? But it's Shower Lion. You guys are the lions. You guys take showers and you sometimes shave in the shower. But anyway, Shower Lion, manscaped.com, get it. Also, guys, get the 16-round draft solution for the lowest price of the season. I've linked it below. It's going to help you guys crush your leagues. Video training. I go over all the optimal players, sleepers, breakouts, everything you need. Get it below. And also Fantasy 365, the first ever community where we could chat, talk, discuss 365 days a year for fantasy football. Join the community, 16 rounds, Fantasy 365, linked below, or head on over to thefantasyfootballcounselor.com. I got to plug this stuff, guys. I offer stuff to you guys that gives you value, okay? I'm all about giving you guys stuff that's actually going to work for you, that's going to benefit you, so you have bragging rights in fantasy, and of course, you don't want to shave those balls and cut yourself. So manscaped.com, Shower Line, okay? Get it. All right, so let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about the top 5 wide receivers. Dive in. First of all, let's talk about who finished on top in 2019. Let's talk about that because 2019 shows us patterns, guys. There's patterns in things, right? So Adams had a good, let me pull this up here actually, in regular season. Let me pull this up. All right, so 2019, Michael Thomas was the number 1 wide receiver, okay? Followed by Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, and DeAndre Hopkins, followed by Keenan Allen, Edelman, Robinson, Galladay, and Amari Cooper, round of the top 10. This is 2019. Why am I showing you 2019? Because so many people ride the recency bias. 2019, Michael Thomas had 374 fantasy points. Godwin was number 2. What did I tell you guys? I said, stay away from Michael Thomas and Godwin. Michael Thomas was just too expensive. There's no way I was going to spend a top 5 pick. He was going as late as, I say, top 7 picks on Michael Thomas. Yet the mainstream told you. And this is what we're talking about. It's an open discussion. I'm keeping it real with you guys, keeping it raw, keeping it organic. I'm not going to cookie cutter this stuff, okay? There's no fluff here. I'm keeping it real. Michael Thomas had an amazing year in 2019. Very hard to duplicate that in 2020. I said, stay away because we knew a decline was imminent. We knew that. It wasn't a question he wasn't going to hit 371 points, 74.6 points. Wasn't going to happen. So I said, stay away. It's too expensive of a first round pick. And if you got the 16-round draft solution, you stayed away. You just dodged a bullet. You dodged it. I've been doing some boxing here. I know I've been calling out a lot of players and they've been coming to my, DMs and my Instagram. If you're not following on Insta to follow the draw, make sure you follow. Josh Jacobs called me out. A couple other guys, Le'Veon Bell. So I got to do some boxing analogies here. You dodged it. You slipped the jab. You slipped the jab, right? You slipped the Michael Thomas jab here. So I'm telling you, you had to stay away. He finished on top. He wasn't going to finish top again. Chris Godwin, he had a pinnacle year in 2019. Okay, I told you, stay away from Godwin. He was drafted in the 2nd round by the Chiefs. Everybody told you, Chris Godwin, 2nd round. That's what they said. And they had him in the top 10 with Mike Evans. Mike Evans finished 11th amongst wide receivers. That's fine, okay? And I knew that technically he was kind of the one, but we knew that Brady spreads the ball around. We knew that Godwin wasn't going to have the same type of year. Yet people drafted him in the second round. This is where his ADP was across the board in the magazines, in the outdated rankings, the Kinshipsis, the Three Stooges podcast, right? All of these mainstream cookie cutter, white collar a-holes, right? They told you Chris Godwin second round, Michael Thomas first, top 5 picks, right? They lied, okay? Julio Jones, he's been pretty consistent. I could understand his value at the late first round. I kind of understand that. Cooper Kupp finished 4th. At Hopkins, I was wrong on Hopkins because I figured I didn't see the targets. I didn't think the targets were going to be there. Either way, doesn't matter because I ended up getting a running back there anyway. So, because I go robust RB anyway. So, typically, that's kind of a rule anyway. All these top 5 wide receivers kind of don't matter to me because I end up drafting a running back anyway. So, that's my disclaimer here. But I want to let you know, the point of this is that Michael Thomas, Godwin, Julio, Cooper Kupp, and Hopkins didn't finish like that in 2020. So, let's look at the 2020 right now. I'm going to pull it up. Now, I want to make a note here. It changes. So, let's take a look at 2020. Adams, Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Hopkins, Ridley were the top 5, followed by Jefferson and PPR, Metcalf, Lockett, Robinson, Thielen. So what happened here? A lot of guys fell out. It happens. Cooper Kupp finished 26th. I want to make a note of that. Michael Thomas was hurt. Ankle injury, nagging injuries. Breeze was out. It was a disaster, right? For a bit. Breeze was out for a bit. So all those guys that you thought would finish on top didn't finish on top. But Adams did well. Typical Adams, if healthy, did well. We kind of saw the I kind of called it, got a Packers hat for it. I knew that Rodgers had a chip on his shoulder with them bringing in Love in the draft. Rodgers had to perform. People were calling him washed up. If Adams stayed healthy, which he did, he'd have a phenomenal year, and he did, right, which is understandable. Tyreek Hill finished second. Now, here's some, and again, I'm going to give you my top 5 here, not in any particular order, but just the 5 I like that should be on top. Tyreek Hill is very interesting here. He did finish second, but I want to make a note of this, okay? Here's what you got to note. 135 targets. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years he's played, right? He had 137 targets in 2018. That was his pinnacle. He had 135 targets 2020, this past year. I want you to note this, okay? This is very, very important. Number one, he kind of gets hurt a lot. So back in 2019, he only finished 12. 2017 had 15 games. Not hurt a lot, but sometimes he doesn't finish seasons. We kind of see that. But the important thing you got to note here is that in 2020, this is the most important factor. Pay attention. This is why we're having this discussion. Something to consider because he's going to come off probably top 5, 6 picks. He's going to come off in the first round. He had a pinnacle 15 touchdowns. Okay, that's something you need to note. He has never hit 15 touchdowns. He had 12 touchdowns in 2018. After that, 6 touchdowns in 2016, 7 in 2017, 7 in 2019. He had 15 touchdowns, which really inflated his number. So I'm going to tell you right now, he's not going to hit 15 touchdowns in 2021. He's not. It's just not going to happen. So that's something to consider. He had the off-field issues. He had, 12 games in 2019. I'm going to push. That's enough for me looking at the evidence here. Not to mention Kelsey's a primary target. They have other wide receivers. Mahomes has had like these Cinderella years where he's been perfect. Maybe he's due for an injury. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not wishing injury on anybody. I just look at what goes up must come down. Now, the Chiefs have looked phenomenal all the time. All the time. It's almost picture perfect. Tyreek Hill, again, I've kind of given you the knocks against him. I'm not going to say he's a bad wide receiver. I'm not. I'm just going to slightly push him out of my top 5. Just building a case there here. Stephon Diggs, I still think there's more of a ceiling for this guy, okay? What I like about him is that rapport that's happening with Josh Allen. So, Diggs actually was number 1 in targets. Love that. That's one thing I look at. I love the volume. I love the targets. Volume equals fantasy points. I just love it. So Diggs is in my top 5. So that's the first guy I like. I mean, not really a particular order, but he could be my number 1 wide receiver. But you're going to say, well, Joe, he had a pinnacle year. He could decline. What's going on with that? I don't think so. Predicated he stays healthy. Predicated that the Bills actually get a good running back because they don't have a running back. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, they're just not enough to distract defenses, and he still did as good as he did. So the fact that Diggs did as good as he did with no running game with the Bills, other than the threat of Josh Allen running, we kind of get that. I get it. But when you look at Stephon Diggs, I'm looking at a guy that's got a high ceiling, number 1 in targets. He had 8 touchdowns. I still think that he has room for more. I like that. 328 points. He wasn't number 1 in fantasy points. He was technically number 3. I like him. So he's clear-cut in my top 5. again, I'm looking at the durability. I'm looking at the Cuddy system. Remember the Cuddy system. CUDDY. Consistency, upside, durability, depth, and youth. Still relatively young. Rapport with Josh Allen. Josh Allen continues to get better. His accuracy gets better. Diggs, I got to put him in my top 5. And it's not just I'm copying and pasting. If I was copying and pasting, I'd put Tyreek in there. And I'm pushing Tyreek out of my top 5, okay? So, yeah, Diggs is there. Hopkins, I got to put him in here because Hopkins has been consistent no matter who throws with him. Again, more rapport with Kyler Murray. Fitzgerald, we know that I figured this year he'd be used more, but he just wasn't. So Fitzgerald being phased out. Hopkins has to be there. Like, there's no question Hopkins has to be there. 160 targets, so he's there, clear cut. But the question is, am I drafting these guys? Probably not. I'm going robust RB. These guys will not be on my teams and hopefully not on your teams as well because we're going robust RB, but we got to discuss it because other people are going to be taking these picks and it's all about strategy, right? So you could get value on some of these guys later, maybe if they fall, maybe you'll consider them in the second round. Who knows? If you're going robust RB, probably not, but it's something to discuss. So Hopkins has to be there as of right now. We're talking January 2021 right now. It's very early. After the NFL draft, this starts falling into place a little bit better for me, okay? Let's take a look here. Devontae Adams finished first. Again, one thing that concerns me with Adams is, boom year. That's one thing to consider. Again, the injuries, right? Let's break it down. 12 games in 2019, 14 in 2020, 15 in 2018, 14 in 2017. He had a 16-gamer in 2014 and 2016, but really doesn't finish season. So I expect him to miss a few games all the time, which is understandable because he's out there crushing it every week. So with Adams, you got to be expecting to miss a couple games. So are you going to be drafting him at all in the first round? Possibly. Is he worth it? Possibly. But again, you're going to have to deal with that injury. So that's the injury where 1 or 2 games possibly missed. We've seen it, right? He hasn't finished a full season since 2016. So that's something you got to contend with. He had almost a Cinderella year this year. Is there going to be enough momentum going to next year? That's something we got to consider. One thing you got to also consider, he had a pinnacle year, 18 touchdowns. Is that going to happen again? That's something you got to weigh out, right? 18 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. It's not something people get every single year. Maybe 12 touchdowns next year. So expect a decline there. 358 points this year, PPR. I'm expecting a lower year this year. So again, what goes up must come down. I think we're looking at a slightly downwards trend for Adams next year. It's going to be hard for him to top this year, but the mainstream, they're going to tell you, hey, draft Adams top 5, top 6 picks because he had such a pinnacle year. And this is what's so upsetting. And this is why my 16-round draft solution is the game changer because what goes up must come down, okay? So again, I'm going to lay this out for you guys, up to you guys to use some common sense here to crush it. That's why 16 rounds is so good, and get it. It's going to help you guys crush it. So I got to put Adams as of right now in top 5. This is going to probably change, okay? But so far I've got Diggs, Hopkins, Adams. They kind of belong there, but they were top 5 finishers last year. One of these guys could possibly fall out getting very early. 2 other guys I want to slip here in the top 5. I've been doing a lot of thinking. I just did a top 10 episode a couple weeks ago, and I kind of kept Metcalf out. But I'm thinking Metcalf has the opportunity to slide in the top 5 here. I'm sliding him up significantly here. He's doing really well. He's doing really well every single year. He keeps growing, okay? He keeps expanding. He keeps, gaining respect is the word I'm trying to use. A little bit raw first year. Second year, doing a lot better. What I'd like to see with Metcalf to really slide him in this top 5 is more targets. 129 targets, it's not enough for me. I need to see more. 10 touchdowns, that's good. 1,303 yards, that's good, right? Fantasy points, 7th in fantasy points, that's really good. I want to see more targets. 129 targets doesn't really, get me going. I need to see more of that. So it's something I really want to look at going into 2021. Do I put him in the top 5 now? Oh, man, that's tough. I'm going to probably have to push him out of my top 5 right in the second, but he's going to be close. Top 10 for me because I love the ceiling. Another guy I'm going to put into my top 10, a guy that I'm really upset that I'm going to have to pay a huge price to get him this year. The guy I'm talking about is Justin Jefferson. I'm going to put him in there. I'll tell you why. Now, first of all, there's one problem. 125 targets. Hopefully that goes up. And the Thielen factor, that's a big problem for me as well. But if Thielen had 108 targets, Jefferson 125. I want to see more targets for Jefferson. But what's phenomenal is he had 1,400 yards. Phenomenal. That's like a record. 7 touchdowns, 274 points. This is a guy that I got after the 7th or 8th round for free. I was laughing all the way to the bank in my fantasy leagues because I was getting him for value. Now I got to pay for him. So I'm going to be looking for value wide receivers again this year. I nailed it with Robbie Anderson, nailed it with Justin Jefferson, nailed it with Claypool, nailed it with a bunch of other guys, Deontay Johnson, and a bunch of other guys. But when I'm looking at Justin Jefferson, I'm going to slide him in the top 5 right now. He finished 6th. I think the ceiling is still there. What really amazes me about him is that he's still young, dynamic. He's good. He did well. And I still don't think he's hit his ceiling. And the fact that he outdid Adam Thielen, coming in his rookie year is what's really exciting about him. But again, what pisses me off is I might not get him because, again, the Conchiefs are going to ride the train and you're going to have to pay high for him. So as of right now, I've got him in my top 5. So we've got Adams, we've got Diggs, Hopkins, Adams. I kind of like them in that order. I'm going to put Jefferson at 4. And then number 5 is really a coin toss, okay? Now, logically, you think that Calvin Ridley, who finished 5, would be 5. But here's the problem. Julio Jones was banged up all season. I don't know the quarterback situation. I don't know what's going on. Is Ryan going to stay there? I doubt it. There's going to be too many moves and too many changes in the Falcons offense for me to consider Calvin Ridley to be a top 5. If Julio Jones gets shipped off or something, I think he's going to stay. So if Julio's there, I'm definitely bumping Calvin Ridley out. I don't like him there. But here's the problem. Because he finished 5, similar to what happened the year before with Godwin and Evans, where Godwin was ranked. Remember, they told you Godwin round 2 last year in 2020, and they put Evans behind him, even though Evans was the 1. I still think that's going to happen this year. I think people are going to overweigh Calvin Ridley. They're going to, overinflate his value, and you're going to get screwed on a decline with Calvin Ridley this year. I kind of see that happen. It's very early. We're just having an open discussion. Don't hold me to this, but I think that could happen. But again, he's young. I mean, the ceiling is high, right? So it's a tough one. But who's going to be top 5 for me? That's something I'm really, really undecided right now. But I'm going to probably go with... you can go Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson can slide in the top 5 if he gets on the right team, right? Allen Robinson in a situation where he gets volume could do well. It's very early. But since I did a top 5 episode this early, I got to put somebody in here. I'm just going to go Metcalf. I know I said I was going to slide him out. I'm looking at it because I said he's an honorable mention. I'm just going to slide him in here. There you go. I made a decision. We're open discussion. So I'm going to go Diggs. I'm going to go Hopkins. I'm going to go Adams. I'm going to go Jefferson. I'm going to go Metcalf. Top 5 wide receivers. They're going to be expensive this year. There's no doubt. Are you going to pay it? Probably not. You're going to get a ton more value. There's a couple other guys where you're looking at wide receiver sleepers. I'm going to do a whole other sleeper episode. So stay tuned, subscribe. Top 5 potential sleepers this year, okay? I'm going to dive into that already. I'm just going to dive in, have fun. But, A.J. Brown could take a step up. There's a couple other guys I think are going to take a big leap this year. Deontay Johnson. They're going to step up even more this year. So, because I don't know what's going to happen with Juju. That's a whole other discussion, right? I don't think he's worthy to be on that team. So when you're looking at sleepers, we're going to talk about that. When you're looking at top 5, I got to go with Diggs, Hopkins, Adams, Jefferson, Metcalf for now. Very early. That's kind of where I'm at, okay? So let me know below in the comments, who do you think is going to be top 5, right? We know it's not going to be the same top 5 from last year. You know it's not going to be Adams, Hill, Diggs, Hopkins, and Ridley. So I've kind of done a little bit of adjustments, bumping out Hill and Ridley, bumping them out of the top 5. I don't feel comfortable with them there. And I think either Diggs, Hopkins, or Adams, one of them is going to decline as well, even though they're top 5. Adams, I don't know, he could get hurt again, right? So I'm thinking ahead, skate to where the puck is going, anticipate, right? And if you're looking at top 5, you got to look and say, hey, am I going to invest first round value when I know that it's not going to happen like that? The top 5, it's not going to work like that. We saw it with Godwin last year and Michael Thomas. We always see it every single year. Let me go back one more year before we end this, okay? I'm going to go back to 2018 real quickly here. I'm going to look at the regular season PPR finishers at wide receiver, just to remind you. In 2018, it was Hopkins, Adams, Tyreek Hill, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown. Totally different, right? Hopkins staying in there, Adams, Hill, Julio Jones. When you look at 2019, like I said, there was no Julio Jones in 2019, finishing top 5, okay? Wait, hold on. Let me pull this up here. Was he there? One sec here. Oh, he did finish. Sorry, Julio finished. But Godwin slipped in and Kupp slipped in the top 5. That was in 2019. So there was no Kupp in 2018. So again, there's so many different variables. So if you look at 2019, where was Kupp? Kupp was hurt. He wasn't even there. I'm looking at 2018. Kupp is a no-show. Woods was there in the top 5, but there was no Kupp in 2018. In 2019, Kupp was there. Guys, things change. That's the whole point of this conversation, all right? Smash thumbs up. Who are your top 5 for 2021 fantasy football at wide receiver position? Let me know below. Let's open discuss. Let's get into this and get that 60-round draft solution below and join the Fantasy 365. And if you join now, get entered for a draw to win a live Zoom call with Chris CJ2K Johnson. That's going to be happening February 9th. Thanks, guys. I'm out. Subscribe. More videos coming your way. I'm out. Fantasy Football 2021 is around the corner, believe it or not. It'll be here before we know it. I'm out.